Okay, you could start whenever.
Welcome back to another episode of the Born Again Again podcast. I'm Katie.
And I'm Joe.
And I'm Sara.
And today, as you might have guessed, we have Sara here. And Sara is one of our best friends, and we're going to talk about Halloween with her.
And for all of you diehard fans, you've heard Sara before on the episode where we read the Bible with Sara and Phil. But Phil's not here, but Sara's here today. Mm-hmm. Phil will be back tomorrow.
Phil's
here in spirit, too.
Sara is our Halloween ambassador for this week.
Exactly. And speaking of spirits, this week we wanted to talk about everything spooky.
Spooky stuff.
And how we don't have to be afraid of spooky things anymore.
Yeah.
So I feel like Halloween came and went pretty fast, but we were trying to watch some scary movies with our friends and just talking about dressing up and getting in the spirit. And Sara the other night was like, hey, have you guys ever played with a Ouija board? And Joe and I both froze for a second, and then we started laughing because we both had the same weird gut reaction.
Yeah.
You guys looked so scared.
I know. It was weird. It was like the second you asked us, a pit was in my stomach. Like, oh, how am I supposed to answer this?
Boards?
Like, I don't want to be lame and be like, no, I don't play with those. But another part of me is like, they're fine. But yeah, it's weird. My whole life I felt like Ouija boards were super devilly.
Yeah, don't
touch those, don't play with them.
What were you told about them?
That's, I don't know, Satan would come into your body.
Well, I don't know. What is it? Is it supposed to be like a spirit moving the little thing around?
I guess so. I guess it's
You're the resident expert on everything demonic.
Let me tell you. As a resident expert, I think I've used a Ouija board twice. So.
Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa. I shouldn't be in the room with you.
I know. No, I think I've used it a few times, but it's just something that you and your friends get together, and normally it's candlelit in the room to set some ambiance. Mm-hmm. And obviously spirits love candlelight, as we all know.
As everyone knows.
They hate daylight. They love candlelight. Mm-hmm. And everyone puts their hands on, and you ask it a question, and it's supposedly, the spirit takes over, even though your hands are on it.
Yeah. It's a little suspicious.
It's a little suspicious.
Unfortunately. Did you ever move it?
I don't remember ever doing it. I haven't played with one in 10 years or so. I can't really remember, but my sister and I would make makeshift ones, and we would do it.
Oh.
You would?
Yeah, we would make our own. You'd write it on a piece of paper, and then we always had all of these blank CDs, that you use for burning music or whatever. And we would just use that
to reveal the letter,
because there's a little hole in the center of the CD. And
that's so smart. That.
Yeah. But my sister, I think she always tricked me, and she always moved it.
Oh, okay.
We need to have her on the podcast.
I know, she's so funny. No, but they're like a game made by I don't know, is it made by Milton Bradley or someone like
a normal,
that? Yeah,
just
a
commercial.
Like you buy it like Target.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought that it was always based on something very old.
I'm sure it is.
Spooky.
Yeah, probably is. But yeah, I was never told anything about it. I don't think anyone in my church ever talked about it, or anyone in my family really. Maybe my parents mentioned it when I was growing up, but I always was under the impression that it wasn't just a spirit moving a thing. It was a demon spirit. For some reason, I don't know why. I never assumed that God's spirit could move the thing to tell us a message.
Could be God? Yeah.
Yeah, but I always assumed it was some devilly spirit, and that it was really, really risky to play with something like that because you were actively welcoming spirits.
That's a good word, risky. That's the word I feel now that we're talking about it, it just seems so dumb that I was ever afraid of this. But when Sara mentioned it, I was instantly had the shock of fear.
You guys were quiet for a full 10 seconds and didn't say anything because I asked you a question and both of you were just still.
Did you guys hear me?
It felt like a shred of superstition that was still left in my body.
I hadn't felt that feeling in a while because it felt like when we first left Christianity and we would talk about hell or whatever, and like there was that programmed response where you just like got that like sick or tightening feeling in your stomach without any prompting, like it just automatically happened. And that's what happened when you asked us that question. It was like automatically my stomach tightened and the fear shot up. Yeah, it's weird.
It sounds like you guys didn't have very many conversations about it. It was just like an assumed thing that it was evil.
That is actually a really insightful way to think about all this stuff, because I didn't have conversations about like really any of this stuff. It was all really vague, and like no one talked about it much, and you kind of just like assumed it was bad, and no one talked about it or thought about it because everyone was so scared
to bring it up
or scared of what it would do to you if you like
if you talked about it.
I don't know. I feel like I was like kind of scared of evil spirits as a Christian in some sense, because like no one talks about them. No one knows how they work. I don't know. It was risky. Seemed like really spooky.
I think the only thing when I was younger, my mom, like, I don't know why, maybe I like asked her about it, and she like, the only thing she said was, "Oh, don't mess with those." Oh, like, and that was like the extent of it. It was like, you don't want to mess with that. And that was, you kind of just make up whatever that means in your imagination after that.
That is a good, I feel like I've heard that phrase with Ouija boards and like all of that stuff. You don't want to mess with it because like you are like tempting evil or whatever.
Yeah. You're like flaunting yourself in front of evil.
Yeah. Evil spirits. Speaking of playing with evil spirits in games, the very first time we met Sara, we didn't know anything about her. We went over to her apartment and we had met Phil before, but she's like, let's do tarot cards. And she like gets out this deck of tarot cards, and Joe and I had come straight from church.
It was the same feeling, actually.
Yeah.
Like when just the other night when you asked us about the Ouija board, when you asked us about the tarot cards 3 years ago or whatever, I had that same feeling like, I don't know if we should be messing with this stuff. But I don't want to say that to Sara because like we're a new guest.
We're trying to be cool. We didn't want to tell her that we had just come from church, and we were like, we didn't know it, but we were like in our very early like deconversion stages, I guess.
Yeah, we didn't know it yet.
Yeah, and she brought this like really cool looking deck of cards and read us our fortunes or whatever.
Oh my gosh, I'm like such a witch to you.
I know, right?
I remember I had to consciously think, okay, if God is like real and he's really strong, he can like protect me through this, or he can like use these cards to speak a message to me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you
I was
guys.
like, if I really believe in a real powerful deity, I don't want to believe that the devil is stronger than him.
Right.
That's so funny, because from my perspective, like you guys saw it as this like super scary, like really deeply meaningful thing.
Like so meaningful. Yeah.
And from my perspective, I was like, oh, these are just these cards that we got, and they're so pretty, and like let's just play with these.
Yes. You don't want to mess with that, Sarah.
Yeah, we're over here having like an existential crisis, and you're like, oh, let's play this fun game I just got.
It's like fun. It's like something that you can read something and like draw some deeper meaning out of it if you want. But it's like I don't know. I never thought anything of it really.
Yeah,
it's weird. Like thinking back on it, because now I feel like a completely different person from that night. And it's weird because I don't know why I would be so scared of tarot cards. Like it just feels like so distant.
Yeah.
It's just conditioning growing up, like having your parents tell you not to mess with those things.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Yeah. So we watched like a couple of scary movies, and I don't know how you guys all feel about horror movies, but it took me a while to be able to watch any of them because I was scared of like getting possessed by them. Like I thought that if like I watched this movie about like demon possession, that like it would get stuck in my head, and then like I'd think about it all the time, and then I would get possessed.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. I felt that too. I didn't watch many horror movies at all, like until a couple of years ago.
Did you watch any movies at all, Joe?
Okay. Yeah, that's a fair point. I didn't watch very many movies, period. But I didn't watch like any horror movies until like 5 years ago. And then I watched like, even since then, I haven't watched that many. But yeah, especially the ones that were about supernatural things or about like possession or demons. Yeah. That was like, I always felt like that's not a movie to watch for fun. That's like real. Like this could actually happen.
That's what I thought.
You know?
Like it's not a
like
joke.
The Exorcist.
We shouldn't be making like this into like some kind of entertainment.
Yeah, it felt like this is something like unholy that we're watching and that I like shouldn't be exposed to. Which again, it's like
we shouldn't mess with that stuff.
It's the same thing. Like
you shouldn't mess with that.
That's what it felt like. It's the same as with the tarot cards. Like it felt like for a Christian, it had so much significance and like so much meaning, and you had to like take everything so seriously. you couldn't just go to the movies and like get a little scared and have fun with your friends. It was like, no, this is eternal. Yeah. Weird.
I'm really curious how much of this was just like stuff that you guys had built up in your own heads, or like, did you guys actually have conversations in church about it, or like in youth groups or among your Christian peers about it? And like, oh, you have to stay away from it because this is like, here's the reasons why. Right. And like, here's how it's actually affected people before. Yeah. Or was it just like this kind of like fear that was ingrained?
All of it is like super subtle programming. Like, like that. Because when we went back to church recently, I like some of the things I believe in, like, why do I believe that? I don't remember having a full conversation about like a particular thing. But then when we went back to church, like the pastor guy said like one tiny thing. And I'm like, I have heard that like that sort of whatever, not the exact words he said, but kind of like that, I don't know, concept so many times. Like I had felt it, like it was the way he says things. It's like just so matter of fact that you don't need to talk about them. And that's how I feel like the demon stuff is. It's just like, it's a fact. Like you don't need to talk about it anymore. Like you're going to get possessed if you like play with the Ouija board. Like
that's totally right.
It seems more like just like a given.
And little hints of it are dropped.
My mom, I'm sure, said that stuff like when she would see things on movies, she would be like, that's like some scary stuff. Like you shouldn't play with that. Or I think like churches always encourage you to like do whatever is edifying. And like, so they're like, so if it's not like edifying to you, you know, like helpful to you and your Christian brain, your Christian walk, then don't do it. Like, AKA like don't watch movies about sex, like about scary demon possession, like Halloween stuff, like anything that's like not Christ-centered, I guess, is bad.
Yeah.
But
I think what you said a minute ago about like how it's all really subtle is true, because I don't remember anyone directly saying like, okay, this is what demons are all about, or this is what the devil's all about, and this was what you should avoid. It was more like little lines just dropped in passing. Or like another example, I guess, no one in Christianity tells you like you should think nothing of yourself, you should have horrible self-worth, like you should hate yourself. But they will say, they'll pray, like in a prayer, they'll say like, take all of me and fill me up with your spirit, or like remove myself and more of you, God, you know, that kind of stuff, where it's essentially saying the same thing, but one is like really subtle and doesn't seem so bad, and the other one is really, really direct.
That's what I'm talking about. That's how it is.
Yeah. So like no one says these are the things that will allow the devil to enter you. But like, it's kind of just the attitude of everyone. And assumed, and little hints of stuff. Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's talk about The Witch. We watched The Witch the other night, and this is like what I was thinking the whole time. The family was so religious in that movie, and I felt like they were so afraid of like the devil like possessing their children, which like the witch did like eventually like possess their one child, right? At least. And like, that's like how religious people are. They're just like constantly scared that anything outside of like their realm and what they believe is going to be like demonic. And that's like how we believed. Like anything outside across the line is like a devil. If you have another religion, or like if you're like spiritual in a different way, you're like possessed. Like you're bad. Like you're a witch. I don't know. Like like that.
That's actually true too.
Any other type of spiritualism is bad.
Yeah.
Demonic.
Or like you can see like, or the effects of the world like will make you like evil, corrupt, and then like on the sliding scale, like you could be possessed by demons, like if you go too far into like the corruption.
I kind of think like as a Christian, we were taught like everything outside of Christianity was evil, period. So when it was something having to do with like magic or like anything supernatural, then that was like super evil. You know what I mean?
But why couldn't that have been God? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe some Christians do think that, like that they could play a Ouija board and like the Holy Spirit's guiding them. But I don't know. As a Christian, like anything supernatural that wasn't directly related to church was like super sketchy. I didn't want anything to do with that. Yeah. Movies or games or
the Ouija
books
board
or anything.
Isn't mentioned in the Bible, so it's not Bible based.
So that's why it's demonic.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Because Jesus doesn't talk about the Ouija board.
The Bible's not really mentioned in the Bible, so that must be demonic.
No, it is. It's talked about the word.
It says the Bible.
The word.
Does it say the Bible?
Does it say the Bible though?
So we really like talking to Sarah about all this stuff because she really likes to ask questions about the devil a lot. And it seems like such
We're like painting Sarah as someone who's like so interested in the occult and devils. And, yeah.
I feel like it was interesting to meet someone like Sarah because she wasn't afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
Like, why are you scared of that? Like, kind of things.
Yeah.
And like, that's what Halloween growing up, like, represented to me. Like when we were talking about all this Halloween stuff, it's like I start to think, why am I scared of all of these things? Or why was I scared of a Ouija board? Why was I scared of horror movies? Why am I scared of all of this stuff? And Sarah has always been really good at asking those questions.
Yeah.
And you ask a lot about the devil. Like what?
Well, I think it's because I hear so much in the realm of Christianity, like, look out for the demons and the devil, he's trying to get you, and like around every corner.
Right.
And I'm just like, why? I just, more recently, I guess, like, I just can't understand, like, why he would be so pervasive. And, like, I feel like he's not really talked about that much in the Bible.
Right.
And it seems to be, like, such a focus in Christianity in some circles.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I think especially the more charismatic circles, like where people are trying to do the spiritual gifts, a lot of them talk about the devil a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you asked us that, like, what's the origin of Satan and like all of that, and like we grew up to believe that Satan was a fallen angel. He like disobeyed God and wanted his own army or something.
He used to be God's most powerful angel, right?
Yeah.
Is that true?
So this is what I'm saying, this all from just someone told me this.
Yeah, I don't...
Okay. No, this is really cool.
Yeah.
This is really cool to hear, like, what you guys actually believe.
Yeah. I don't know where it came from, but yeah, that's what I believe.
Yeah, he was a fallen angel, like God's second in command. Like he was too prideful, and he wanted to rise up and like usurp God, and he got kicked out of heaven. And then he went with like some other angels. They started a mutiny, and those are his demons now.
Yeah, right.
So
this raises a few questions.
Okay.
So what was interesting is we were talking about it like when we first were deconverting, and I was like, yeah, I don't actually know why I believe that. So like I went to go look it up in the Bible, and I couldn't really find like a clear-cut place where this says, if someone knows where this is in the Bible, you should tell us. But I found like one very metaphorical story that I would never have known was about Satan in like the middle of the Old Testament, like in Psalms or like Proverbs. I don't know what it was, what book.
It's like not where you would expect.
Yeah, like I don't know. It was in the middle of the Bible, and I was like, I would never have known that this was about Satan. And then after that, I was like, why are we so scared of Satan? Why do we believe what we believe about him? And I looked up like all of the references for him, and there wasn't many. Most of them were in Job, and we've talked about that before.
Yeah, right.
But Job is weird because God's kind of a dick in that story too.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I know, and it's not much about Satan. It's like just he's referenced because he's speaking.
Actually, the more we're talking about this, the more I'm realizing that I think like exploring who the Bible says Satan is, and like the way that Satan acts in the Bible, and reading all the stories where Satan is involved really helped my deconversion.
Well, because all this, it was a scary, the fear keeps you in the longest, I think.
Like we were just saying, like we had this whole big picture of who Satan was, and like why we should be so afraid of him, and how he's lurking around every corner. And if we try meditating, he might like slip in our open mind.
What?
Yeah. When I first got into meditation, which was like 6 years ago, I not even got into it, but I like heard about it from some like biohacker who did meditation for productivity. So I was like, sweet, I'm going to try this too at my lunch break. So I told my boss about it, who was a Christian. He was like, Joe, like, that's cool. You want to do that, but like, be really careful. If you opened up your mind too much, that's like how evil spirits can get in.
Well, there's,
oh my gosh,
that's conditioning right there.
That's an example.
I just feel like if you just, instead of using the word Satan, just hit the word like knowledge.
Well, that's exactly.
Or like, I don't know.
No, we were talking about this last night, that like literally the tree that we weren't supposed to eat from is the tree of what? Knowledge of good and evil. Like the tree of knowledge.
Yeah.
And Satan is like, don't you want to know more knowledge?
Right.
And like,
well, I just read too that the Church of Satan chose Satan as an emblem because like historically or whatever, mythologically, he's been the one who is like trying to give us knowledge. And they want to be like the most informed and knowledgeable and intelligent and rational and all that.
There's even something in me right now in my stomach that's like, we don't want to be too prideful. We don't want to know too many things. But like, it's completely conditioning. Like, why wouldn't we want to use our minds?
Yeah, right.
Like, why would we want to be trapped in some ideology that somebody told us was true?
Yeah.
I think also it's just so interesting to thinking about how Satan's just like hiding around the corner from you, like trying to get you. I just don't I mean, like thinking about it, like what is his motivation? Like, why would he be doing this? Like, why would he like, what is
he gaining from this?
What is his purpose?
Sarah,
like, why
he
is
needs
he trying
to drag more souls down to hell?
But that's a good question. And like exploring that question is also helps me deconvert even further. Because it's like, I have nothing to be afraid of. This story doesn't make any sense.
At one point, it looks too obviously like a good versus evil thing, like that we want so badly to be living in some kind of fantasy movie, like about the good versus evil. You know what I mean? It seems so created.
I would love to see like Satan's version of everything and see like if you read it from his point of view versus like God's point of view, who would you think like was evil and who would you think was good?
Yeah, like it's
so interesting.
Written from Satan's point of view as if he's the good guy and God is the bad guy and it's his story. I would love to hear that.
And it took me so long to like even be able to like hear that you would maybe want to like know his perspective, because like the devil and Satan was such a like trigger, or like such a scare word for me. Like I would be like, oh my gosh, you don't want to mess around
be careful,
with that, Sarah.
Right.
Be careful. No, it's weird.
Yeah, if you're freshly deconverted and you're feeling really scared by us talking about Satan so much, don't worry, everything's fine.
I feel like you guys painted me as this person who like worships.
You love Satan so much.
Like demons.
Yeah, you do.
Let the record show Sarah is a normal person with normal interests, and
she's completely normal.
Yeah, but I was saying earlier that like all of these things we were so afraid of. We're so afraid of Satan and the devil and all of that, but like it wasn't really based on anything. You know, we no one like taught us to be especially afraid of it, and the Bible has barely any references to Satan anyways, and those references he like barely does anything evil. So like we really like, according to the book, I feel like didn't have much of a reason to be scared of him daily, like in our day-to-day life. But for whatever reason, it did become really like pervasive.
Why is it sounds like most of the world is evil, right?
Well, according to Christians, like 90% of the world is like super evil.
It's so confusing.
Yeah, I know, it is to me too.
It's like very confusing.
It felt like strangely good to be a Christian and feel like we're the chosen ones. Like literally God chose us to be saved and the rest of the world is evil, and it's our eternal mission to bring God's goodness to like the fallen evil world.
But it's his world.
Yeah, but he accidentally made it evil.
I love this so much.
I know.
So weird.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go.
So many plot holes.
I know, there's a lot of plot holes.
I think it's like I'm less interested in like demons and stuff and just more interested in plot holes.
Yeah. The plot holes of the Bible.
No, those are really fun.
Yeah.
I think that's a good question. I want to go back to Halloween for a second and talk about like, dressing up and stuff, because we were thinking about that. And okay, were you allowed to celebrate Halloween? I feel like you had more of a strict, because you weren't allowed to read Harry Potter.
Yeah, but it was weird. When I was young, like less than 8, I remember trick-or-treating. I was always Batman. That's like that's the main thing I remember. I was Batman.
Same thing every year.
Yeah, I guess. I really liked Batman. But then at some point, I don't know what happened, and my parents like figured out that Halloween was evil to them, or someone told them that it like lined up with a pagan holiday, or I don't know. It could have been anything, you know, and then we stopped. But even that, it wasn't the type of thing where they sat us down as a family and said like, okay, we're going to like open up scripture here, and this is why we don't celebrate Halloween and why Halloween's evil. No, they didn't do that. It was just kind of one of those things that it was like, well, we don't really feel like it's very Christian to celebrate Halloween, or like Halloween is kind of the devil's holiday, and like, I don't know, we want to be really Christ-like, so we don't really celebrate Halloween.
Oh, you
so
guys stopped celebrate
We'd get pumpkins and like candy, but we wouldn't really trick or treat, and we definitely would never dress up as anything scary. We'd like never do anything scary. No haunted houses, no like scary movies, no ghost stories, nothing like that. It was basically just like candy day, which was great still as a kid. I was like, it's fine. I don't really care, but
that's a lot of Halloween for kids.
So it wasn't crazy strict. I know some people, like I'm sure a lot of people are listening, like we're strictly forbidden to celebrate Halloween. Because, for whatever reason, the Christians thought that was like the devil's favorite day of the year.
Yeah, I think that's weird.
Loved giving candy out and like
because it tastes amazing.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Like, where does that's the devil's holiday come from? Is it just because like we talk about the Day of the Dead and like that death is associated with the devil and like.
But death is also associated with God.
I know, it's strange. I feel like there's so much fear in Christianity that just like a holiday like that's celebrating fear maybe makes them afraid.
Yeah, I actually don't know the origins of Halloween.
Yeah,
so
I was just
it's probably something we should have looked up before this. It's kind of funny just to think about it from our
one of the top hits on Google for the origins of Halloween is JehovahWitness.org. So.
Oh, great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, let me open up the Bible and see what it says.
Yeah, let's see what the Bible says about Halloween. It says that it's widely believed that many Halloween traditions originated from ancient Celtic harvest festivals, particularly the Gaelic festival Samhain. That such festivals may have had pagan roots, and that Samhain itself was Christianized as Halloween by the early church. Some believe, however, that Halloween began solely as a Christian holiday, separate from ancient festivals like Samhain.
Okay, so it's a Christian holiday?
So it's either...
we don't know anything about it.
Either very pagan or very Christian.
I can't comment on that because I don't really think we learned anything.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Wikipedia.
I was going to say, like, whenever we talk about Halloween and, like, everybody, like, talks about watching scary movies, I think about this one program I watched one time as, like, a teenager about being possessed by devils. And after that, like, I don't know, like, they were showing exorcisms and, like, they showed priests and, like, there was some kind of like program on the History Channel that I just accidentally watched. Yeah. And ever since then, I was obsessed with like, I thought that I was going to be possessed.
Wow.
Because I thought that as a Christian, I was like the main target of demon possession because I thought that the devil's motive was to take down Christians.
Yeah.
And like, I thought for sure, if I become a really strong Christian, I need to watch out. The stronger I get, like the more I need to like, watch out for the devil.
That's another thing. That was another like kind of little slipped in message was that I remember hearing preachers or someone say like the stronger Christians are the ones that the devil really goes after. So like the stronger you get in Christ, the more you should expect the devil to like try to get into your mind.
Oh, hey, it looks like that's what happened to us.
Oh my gosh, you get so the stronger.
Prophecy. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's obviously just like another fear tactic to keep anybody in. And it works. I mean, I could like totally see how the fear of hell and the fear of the devil would keep someone Christian. Because like it took us a long time when we were deconverting to be able to get over the fear of hell, you know? Mm-hmm. So like if someone is part of one of those really super crazy Pentecostal churches where they like literally talk about the devil all the time, which some of those do exist, it'd be really hard for someone like that to leave. Mm-hmm. Like I have a friend who is super, super Pentecostal, and he like will go into his room and will command Satan to leave the objects in his room, and will command Satan to leave in the name of Jesus and stuff. Like every time he goes in, he'll play worship music during the day when he leaves to go to work to keep the devils out of his room.
Uh-huh. Why does he think so many devils are in his room?
I don't know. Like he thinks they're everywhere. You know, like as a Christian, he thinks that there's this spiritual warfare.
Around every corner, Sarah.
Why is the devil like hiding in an object?
I don't know. I don't know why the devil likes to do what he likes to do, Sarah.
How can he possess an object? Seems so stupid. Just go possess the person.
Yeah, like cut off the middleman.
It seems like if he was really the devil, it wouldn't be hard to do any of this. And if he actually wanted to possess you, it'd just be like, oh, okay, easy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And like it's not like it's just this. He's like crawling after you.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe it is. What do I know?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I can't justify that belief. Obviously,
it's such a. Yeah, you're trying to like stop him with so many like little tricks, but like if he was really like
he's so afraid of worship music.
Yeah, it like hurts him. It stings when he comes into the room.
Well, you know, like it's like what like what are they called? Vampires that can't like see a crucifix, like the light off of it like hurts them, or like the light. It's just like.
So I guess if that's true, then it could be true that devils are scared of worshiping.
So like, doesn't it just sound like vampire? Folklore?
Yeah, exactly. Is what I'm saying is that like it sounds so much like folklore when you start like talking about him in that way.
Right.
Like it's just kind of like all of our old horror like monster tales combined. Like he was the origin, like the devil.
He's the culmination of like all the scary monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably why whenever we get scared in a horror movie, we're just like constantly like associating and putting it, like pushing it back to the devil. Like, see, the devil commanded probably that vampire. Like like you think that everything evil like comes from their overlord, the devil.
Right.
Satan.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like implied.
Yeah.
Like obviously everyone should know.
Right.
Did you guys believe in vampires too?
No.
Sarah, no, come on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sarah, we would never believe in something as weird as a vampire.
It's not in the Bible, Sarah.
I mean, people love drinking blood, though.
That's true.
Oh, that's
they
true.
like to pretend to drink blood anyway.
Well, yeah, right.
See, that's a good topic. But wait, first, you have like a really good story about a devil in your camp cabin. Or your demon.
Yeah, because you were like kind of involved at the church for a short time.
I was definitely involved with the devil for a short time. No, I'm just kidding. No, when I was younger, I think I mentioned this last time, but I went to a church camp with my friends, and it was what is the crazy kind?
Yeah, like more of a. I feel like it sounded more Pentecostal.
Yeah.
Pentecostal, yeah.
Like it was pretty rowdy.
Yeah, charismatic. Whatever you guys were involved with, it was something similar to that.
Okay.
But I was just going because my friends were a part of it, but I like sort of was like, oh, this seems like kind of cool. Maybe I'll get into this. And I was like all into the praising, and we sang a bunch of fun songs and all that.
Yeah.
I feel like I should give a little bit of backstory on this. Before that, I had started experiencing a phenomenon known as sleep paralysis, and I was probably like 12 at the time, in 7th grade, I think. And for those of you who don't know, like sleep paralysis is this thing that happens when you're falling asleep, and it feels like someone, it happens in different ways for different people. But, for me, what it was I would hear like voices, and I would hear noises, and it would feel like someone was holding me down in the bed. And so obviously,
so terrifying. Like, God.
And I would have like visuals and stuff. And this happened for a while for me.
Like every night, or like,
there was a period of time where it happened every night.
That is insane.
And I at the time, like, we didn't have like as easy access to the internet.
Yeah.
It was like dial up at the time, I think. So, I didn't know what it was, and I didn't really search out because I was afraid to look it up. And I, of course, like I thought in my 12-year-old mind, like, oh, I must be possessed somehow.
Yeah. I for sure would have thought that.
I probably should not. That was after.
Okay.
But anyway, so I had been experiencing that, and it really spooked me at the time and I didn't tell anyone because I was really afraid to tell anyone because I thought that they would think I was like either crazy or that I was something was really wrong. I didn't want someone to try and perform an exorcism on me or something.
Yeah.
So I just suffered in silence. But so I went to this church camp, and this was during that time. And in the middle of the night, the counselor that was in our cabin said that she woke up and saw some sort of dark spirit in our cabin, and said that she said some words to Jesus to get him out of there, and that it left, miraculously. Yeah. And so like we woke up the next morning and she told us that, and I was just like, I just started crying because I thought it was my fault.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, it must be me.
Like you brought a spirit in there.
I brought this demon.
Oh my gosh.
So that's traumatizing. Like my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
That's my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Jeez. Was that like super traumatizing? Like
it was, because like I didn't tell anyone about it, and so it was
even
like,
then, like
no, I didn't say anything out loud at the time. Like it was something that I just kind of like internalized for years.
Right.
until like I came to a point where like, I think that's kind of what helped me get past religion in a way, because like I was really curious what was happening.
Yeah.
And like and you know, at the time I was like, oh, it's demons. But then I started just looking into other things and it started to reveal like, oh, science, and like here's some things that your mind plays tricks on you, and the way you fall asleep. And
so is sleep paralysis like basically explained now, or like other theories at least?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I can't exactly remember
I'm sure
what the process is, but I think it's like fairly, it's not like uncommon.
Yeah, right. I know it's like fairly common, right? Or like not like
in some ways.
In
some ways, I don't think people have it as pervasively as I did, but
like every night.
Every once in a while I'll still like get I don't know, like what do you call it? An episode of it. Yeah. But it's really infrequent, like a couple times a year.
Okay.
And
that's crazy.
And it happens more when like I have anxiety or I haven't been sleeping well.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That stuff is so scary. Like imagine if you could have perceived that whole situation in a totally different way. Yeah. And like if you were having all those night terrors and didn't tell someone, and then at that camp that lady said she saw a spirit, I feel like some people would have like became Christian right away and been like, you know what's happening, I need help. And that probably would have been like a very, very experiential proof of like the spiritual realm to some people, you know?
Yeah.
So that's interesting that like you were kind of like, I'm done with this. To like,
I went back the next year.
Okay.
I think I was like, but it was more about like just hanging out with my friends sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then that next year I was my last one. Okay. But I just like lost interest in all of it, and it lost importance to me because I was a teenager, a young teenager who all I really cared about was being teenager.
Yeah. Because you're boy crazy.
I was boy crazy, dude.
Come on.
Yeah.
I think like we have an unhealthy obsession with like demons and possession when you like, I mean, not we, but like when you get really strong into Christianity, like it just is in the forefront of your mind.
Yeah.
So like, why wouldn't you perceive things that you like, I don't know, as that, like it's either a sign from God or it's like a demon, like something like that. Because if you're constantly like meditating on that stuff, that's like what you're going to think. Like we had that spooky room in our first house, and I felt that room like had a bad energy in it. And like
we were like really Christian.
Super Christian. When we lived there. And I didn't like going in that room. I didn't like being alone in the house when I was upstairs. And when you were gone, like for a work trip, I slept with the lights on in our bedroom because I was so scared. I was scared of having night terrors. I was scared of having sleep paralysis because someone told me that it's possible. And then I was scared about that. And I was scared of getting possessed. I was scared of waking up and seeing something in the corner of the room. So that's why I left the light on. And like for a period of the time that we were most charismatic, I think I've told this story before, but when at the height of our Christianity, I was like most scared of demons, like really scared.
Same for me too.
Really, really scared. Like I slept with the covers over my head a lot of nights.
Like as an adult.
Yeah. As like a 25-year-old. And then like, as I realized that as we tapered off and now that we don't believe, I'm not scared of that stuff anymore. It's like a great like side effect.
Such a relief.
Relief. Yeah.
I think
like, I was not being terrified constantly of monsters.
Right.
Like,
yeah. How absurd.
Yeah. You said, we talk about this all the time, like how weird it is, like that your parents are basically telling you that monsters are real in Christianity.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's not like they come in your room, check under your bed and say like, oh, monsters aren't real. It's okay.
Like, don't worry about it. Yeah.
Bed.
They're telling you
they come in, they're like, well,
you
like,
need to be afraid.
You need to pray because you're right. Like the monster could get you, you know.
You're right. You should be scared.
It's
Good
awful.
night.
Yeah.
Oh, you had a bad dream?
Crazy.
Oh, the devil's probably attacking you. Like, oh, Father God, we pray in the name that you get the devil out of this room.
Yeah.
Wait, did that happen?
Not to us. But I mean, that's like a thing. That's a thing, you know? Like
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
That'd be a good Christian parent right there. That's taking action.
Yeah.
To pray over your child after they have a nightmare.
That would cause such a trauma. I feel like
it would, but in my mind as a Christian, I would think, wow, that's a really caring parent.
That's like good Christian parenting.
Yeah, right there.
That's weird.
That is such a reinforcement, though, of like, oh yeah, these things are real.
No, exactly.
Oh, so that's probably another example of like where we got that reinforced that like the devil should be really scared. We should be really scared of and all of that, like in prayer and in how other Christians reacted to us, like having experiences that we thought might be dark or might be something from the devil. Because everyone took it super seriously. It's like a really big deal.
Well, you guys were like kind of alt kids, like alternative. Did people ever think like, oh, you guys are a little bit too, like something might be up with you too. Yeah. Like you might be possessed.
Yeah. Especially because when I first started getting into Christian metal, I first started listening to this band As I Lay Dying. Which is
I remember that.
Yeah, they're like a super heavy, like, death metal, like screaming band. And it was the first screamo band that I had listened to. And I remember when I started listening to it, my mom like came down to my computer room in the basement, or the drum room in the basement, and was like, what are you listening to? And she was really concerned. And I told her that it was a Christian metal band. And she was like, oh, I don't know, like this, I really don't really feel comfortable with this. It sounds like devil music. It sounds like this is the music the devil would listen to, which is kind of funny. Like, I see what she means. It does sound like music from hell,
It sounds terrible.
But so like at first my parents were really skeptical about it. They were like, this is super weird. I don't feel comfortable with this like devil music being played in our house, even though the lyricists were singing like, I'm going to cut off the devil's horn and I'm going to kill the devil.
You cannot hear the lyrics in those songs.
You can if you listen to it a lot.
Isn't it so evident? Like, it's another thing where like anything you don't understand, you're afraid of.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
You just immediately, you don't understand it, immediately must be bad.
It's bad. Yeah.
It's just such
Or as a Christian, like if you don't understand it, or if it's not like part of church or Christianity, then it's evil. Or at least you need to assume that it's evil until it's somehow like proven to you that this is good in God's eyes.
It's so black and white in that way.
What a name, As I Lay Dying.
I know. Well, and then that like crazy stuff happened with that band too. I feel like the lead singer like killed someone. It like got super extreme. So just a disclaimer, if something like really weird happened with that band that I should know about and we shouldn't be talking about them, I'm sorry.
Okay, but your mom was really superstitious about like Halloween and all kinds of like symbolism and stuff, and like what about the time you went shopping for
When I was probably like 12, and I was back to school shopping, and we went to Kohl's as a family. So we always went back to school shopping, and I picked out a shirt, and it had like 2 black ravens on it, and then some words in like Gothic text. And I feel like the words just said like honor, like respect. I don't know. It was like a cheap whatever commercial t-shirt. Didn't mean anything. And when we went up to the register, the whole time my mom was like really unsure about it. Like, are you sure you want to get that? It has a lot of black. First of all, she was like, it has a lot of black on it, which like to her meant evil. And the second thing was those birds. And I was so embarrassed. As we were checking out, she asks like the 17-year-old guy who's working at the register for minimum wage, could you tell me is there any like symbolism or any meaning behind the ravens on this shirt? I was so mortified. I was like, Mom, you're embarrassing me so bad thinking that. And the kid is like, probably thinking like, dude, lady, I work for nothing here. I have no clue what that's about. Like, just get out of here.
I didn't make this shirt.
Like company policy to like understand the spiritual connotations behind a t-shirt. Can you imagine how long
it would take to go through that?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, but if someone asked me that, I would think it was so funny.
I know. It's the funniest thing. Ended up getting the shirt. I liked it as a 12-year-old. Yeah, for a long time. But yeah, actually, even like I started wearing black around when I started listening to metal music, and that was a thing. My mom like kind of sat me down once and was like, "Is everything okay? You've been wearing like a lot of black lately. I just want to make sure
you're not getting too goth.
You're not. I don't know.
Too alt.
Yeah, it was weird. It's like black evil has to do with the devil. Like, be careful. Like, if you get too dark, you're getting into some really scary territory.
It's funny because my parents were never like that, but I always like knew that was a thing that other people's parents cared about.
Like, how did you know?
Because like I lived around Christians my whole life.
Yeah.
Like some kids like weren't allowed to paint their fingernails black, like girls, because like it was too goth.
The devil comes into your fingernails.
The devil owns the color black.
Yeah.
And the devil wears Prada. So
something.
But why is the devil red?
Oh, you shouldn't be able to wear red either.
Mm-hmm. He should be black.
Does it?
Like, we're all black.
Ooh, he'd be scarier if he was black. Yeah, it'd be a
lot scarier looking.
In my mind right now, I'm thinking about a red devil, and he's like such a joke.
Yeah, that's like a Halloween devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what do we think of the devil and Halloween?
I think it's fine.
5 out of 5 stars.
5 stars. The devil gets 5 stars. No, but seriously, I think that it was like actually pretty healing and like helpful to talk about the devil a lot. Like not just in this conversation, but like in the last couple of years, we've talked about it and read about it a lot. And I feel like it was really helpful to realize that like, hey, we believed a ton of stuff about this character, which now we believe is made up, but this guy, the devil, that like isn't really founded anywhere, and we have no reason to think anything about him. So yeah, I can just like relax. I don't have to be afraid of some crazy spiritual war that's happening all around me at every moment of my life.
And Halloween can be more fun now.
Yeah.
And like you can do tarot cards. We could play with the Ouija board.
Oh, let's go get one.
I know. I kind of want to.
It's like what did it feel? It feels great to like not be so afraid.
Yeah, it feels so good to not feel afraid of anything.
I feel like I had such a fear response, and like, fear is one of my main emotions.
Yeah,
and, like I think I know why. I'm scared of everything, and it's because like I was taught to be.
The Christianity is a religion of fear. I mean, it like starts. No one becomes Christian without the fear of hell. If there was no fear of hell, then no one would choose to be Christian, I think.
Oh.
So like it's completely based on fear.
But Katie and I were kind of talking about this downstairs before that that like it seems like early Christians had a fear of God, and then they kind of like switched to a fear of the devil and demons and hell.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like decided like, oh, now God is love and now we're going to fear everything else.
Right. Yeah, like they kind of pushed that fear onto a scapegoat.
Was that just because Jesus came and then he was like, nice God?
Nice guy God.
Yeah. It was like,
God, nice God. We're really nice now.
Yeah, we're really nice now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So don't have to fear God. Don't have to fear the devil. It feels good. But yeah, I would actually like recommend people, you guys listening, to go and like play with tarot cards with your friends. It might feel weird at first. It felt super weird for us. And it was like kind of an interesting experience to like pick something up and look at these cards, which my whole life I had felt like were super sacrilegious or were somehow like demonically charged, and look at them and realize like, oh, these are just like pieces of paper, and you can assign meaning to them if you want to, and if you don't want to, then they're just pieces of paper.
It's just like looking at the things that are holding power over you and wondering, why does this hold a power over me? It's kind of like, I feel like that's such like a folklore thing, like to like have something that's like is like holding you, and then as soon as you realize that it's actually nothing, like it like breaks and drops to the floor. I don't know what I'm imagining.
I visualize that. I visualize like it like being real and then just like kind of puffing into smoke.
Oh yeah. Like it's like a mind game. As soon as you realize that you're creating the fear and you're putting the power into it just by your own mind, like you realize that and it breaks the spell and it goes away.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. All right. So if you guys have had any spooky experiences that you'd like to talk about, or have found any healing from the fear of the devil, fear of hell, fear of all that stuff, we'd love to hear about it. If you've found relief from any fears, we want to hear about it. So you can find us on Facebook or Instagram or Patreon, and you can share your stories with us and with all the other awesome people who are part of our communities there. So until next week, take it easy.
Ooh, spooky sound.